If you want to learn how to sew and you don't know where to start, but you also love clothes like these, then definitely watch this video. Today I'm going to teach you how to make this shirred top. It's the easiest thing that you can do, and if you've never sewn before, this is definitely for you because you need no skills. Zero skills. I'm going to teach you everything you need to know. It's super simple, and it's also damp proof because the whole top is shirred. So it's going to stretch with you, it's going to shrink with you, so you don't necessarily need to worry about the fit because we'll always fit you. And guys, this top cost me $4 total to make, and it's not some like ugly fabric. It's really, really nice. And I was shocked when I went online and wanted to see how much something like this would cost. Everything like this was above $100. Most of them were $200, $300. I was shocked. I am not really aware of the prices because I mostly thrift and I also sew. I was shocked. If you like this top, this is Sandy Liang. You can literally make it for $4. I just didn't add the bow at the end, but I might add a bow in the future. Anyways, I hope I convinced you to try to make this top. Let's start the video. And the first thing that I'm going to show you how to do is a little sample. So I'm going to make a little test sample to see how my fabric will react, because every fabric reacts a little bit differently. If the fabric is thicker, it will not shrink as much. If it's thinner, fantastic. It's going to be beautiful. This one is kind of in the middle. It's not super lightweight, but it is also not medium weight. So this is cotton polyester. I wanted to have some polyester added to it because I don't want it to wrinkle like crazy. So you sometimes need some polyester, just FYI. Anyways, let's go. All right, so the first thing that you gotta do is to wind your bobbin with the elastic thread. You have to do it very slowly and make sure that you put a little bit of tension on your thread. If you wanna see the full video on it, there will be a video linked down below. Then take a piece of fabric and measure it so you know exactly how much it is, and change your stitch length to the longest your machine allows. And this is just for the sample. Sew multiple rows of elastic stitches. You don't have to worry about securing the thread at the beginning and the end of the stitch because this is just a sample. We are not going to use it later. We just want to see how much the fabric will shrink. But like I said before, there will be a video linked down below that explains the whole process of shearing. Any questions that you have, please go watch that video because it is amazing and everything is explained. So do that before you do this tutorial. All right, this is done. And afterwards, make sure to steam it with your iron so you can see and calculate how much your fabric actually shrink. Obviously, all of this you can do on home sewing machine. I tried to do it on both to see if there will be any difference, and there was none. So to determine how wide you want your shirt to be, remember it will shrink because what we're going to use is elastic thread. You basically need to make a little sample. I made two because I used two different machines and to see if there's any difference. There is none, so it is what it is. But essentially what will happen when you use elastic thread is your fabric will shrink, right? So you'll be able to stretch it. What you have to do is to measure yourself. So either above bust or the bust or under bust. It depends on your preference. What I'm going to do for myself is measure the area above my bust, and I believe it's about 81-ish. So what I have to do now is multiply that number, 81, by 1.5 or 2, depending on the fabric. But because I made a little sample to see how much my fabric will stretch, I realized that my fabric stretches about 40%. So basically, I'm going to add 40% to that number. If you decide to multiply your fabric by 1.5, you should be good. If your fabric is a little bit more lightweight, a little bit more drapey, like this one, it's just a little bit less stiff, you will probably have to multiply it by 2. So the first thing that you have to do is determine how long you want your top to be. So just place it against your body and decide the length. I am happy with this one, so this is what I'm going to do. And of course, make sure to add some seam allowance on top and bottom, because what we're going to do is fold it twice to basically hem the edge, the top and the bottom. So that is something that you have to remember about. I'm not going to use an overlock machine for this project because I know a lot of beginners don't have one. And to be honest, you don't even need one for this. You just need a piece of fabric and that's it. Okay, let's take it to the machine and hem the edge. Change your machine length to the longest your machine allows. For me, it's 5, and then sew a straight stitch let's say 1 centimeter from the raw edge. And the reason I like to do it this way is because this stitch will make the process of folding and pressing the hem way easier. I'll show you in a second. As you can see, I'm folding the edge towards the left side of the fabric, and that stitch is in the crease line. I'm telling you, this stitch makes this whole thing way easier. After folding it once, I'm going to do it again because I want to hide the raw edge. And remember, you have to repeat this process on both sides, the top, which is the neckline, and the bottom, which is the hem. Let's take it back to the sewing machine and sew a straight stitch at the hem and the neckline. Make sure to change the stitch length to shorter than it was before. So let's say if it was 5, make sure to change it to 2 or 2.5. Generally, the shorter the stitch, the stronger it is, and that is exactly what we need. All right, so this is how it looks like right now. It all looks pretty clean and beautiful. And right now, what you gotta do is sew straight lines as close as about 6 millimeters to as far as maybe like 2-3 centimeters. So I am going to draw on the right side of the fabric using either water soluble marker or tailor's chalk, something like that. And I'm going to draw lines from side to side. This is basically going to serve me as a guide for my shirring. And you can decide for yourself how far you want the lines to be apart from each other. I'm going to do some irregular pattern, but you can also space them out regularly. So just decide for yourself. And then take it back to the sewing machine and sew rows of elastic stitches following the lines that you just drew. At the end and at the beginning of the stitch, I am changing the length of stitches to 0.5 because I want to reinforce them. I don't want that elastic stitch to fall apart later, so that's why I'm doing it. And I didn't do it for the sample, by the way. I'm just doing it for the main top. If you want this process explained slowly, then go to the video that I referenced down below. My elastic thread just ran out in the middle of the stitch, so I'm going to show you how to continue that stitch with a new elastic thread. And in general, I would recommend you to thread as many bobbins as you can because they run out pretty quickly. It's a big piece of fabric and it just saves you a little bit of time, so just make sure to do it. I need to continue this stitch, so I'm going to show you how to do it right now. Change your stitch length to 0.5 and then sew a couple of stitches. Then change it back to the longest your machine allows and continue sewing. When you reach the end, change it back to 0.5 again to reinforce that stitch at the end. And then just continue sewing so the whole fabric is shirred. Okay, so this is how the fabric looks like right now. It looks like a little lettuce. It's going to look more like a lettuce in a second. The only thing that you have left to do is to steam it with your iron. So what it will do, it will shrink it. Amazing, that's what we want. And then just sew the side seam. That's it. If you want to add bows, hearts, beads, whatever to it, you can afterwards, but that is it. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to steam it right now. Just hover your steam iron over your fabric and you will see that the fabric will shrink. So this is how the top looks like right now. I haven't sewn the side seam yet, I just pinned it because I wanted to check how tight I want this top to be. Now it's the time for you to assess if you want any changes. Let's say the top is too loose, and for me it is definitely a little bit too loose. If it turns out that the top is a little bit too big, you can make bigger seam allowance and then just trim the excess fabric. That's how simple it is. I'm going to repin it and I'll be back to show you how much fabric I took out. Okay, so this is how much fabric I took out. I prefer my clothes a little tighter, so that's why I did it, but again, you do you, try it and see how it works, how you like it to be. I'm gonna go and sew a side seam now. You can just sew a straight seam and use overlock machine. I'm going to do French seam, which hopefully will look good, hopefully. So that's what I'm gonna do. To sew a French seam, place left sides together and pin them at the side seam. Sew a straight stitch attaching both sides together. Then trim your seam allowance. Mine is very big because I had to adjust the width. Turn it to the right side and pin the side seam together. So we are going to sew a straight stitch about 1 centimeter from the edge. It can be less than centimeter, but this is what I'm going to do. Press the side seam on the left side of the fabric and we are done. Looks fantastic. This is truly my favorite outfit that I have ever made, and it's also the easiest one. This is so easy to sew. Anybody can sew it. Your brother, mother, sister, anybody. And this skirt, I also have a tutorial for it if you want. The previous video, everything will be linked down below. I think everybody should make one because it has pockets. And it's just so awesome. It's just, also the colors together, they go so well. Let me just tell you, I'm very happy with it. Hopefully I inspired you to make something beautiful and simple. And if I did, please let me know in the comments below. And I'll see you in the next video very soon. Bye bye.